All right, man. Torch Talk. You know what it is, man. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. All right, man. How y'all doing out there? I hope everybody's good, man. All right, so look, man. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Drake finally getting caught. All of his secrets have been revealed, or at least are being revealed, when it comes to this whole Hidden Hills thing. So before we get into that, you know I got to get a legendary spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, put one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know to find the ones that just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. I went from 1,300 subscribers over 17,000, trying to get to 18,000 before the end of next week. And yes, I am the King of the North, the Night King, King of the Night, whatever you want to call me. Thank y'all for joining me today. I appreciate y'all so much. And thank y'all for all the donations, man. Hit the horn for the donations. And all you have to do is actually go into the description and hit the Cash App if you want to. You could donate $1. You could donate $10. You could donate $500. Whatever you want to donate. It doesn't matter. Or you could just watch the show. It's free. And you don't have to donate if you don't want to. It's all good. So look, man, we're going to get into this episode real quick. And yeah, this should be an interesting one. So stick with me. All right, man, this comes courtesy of the Ville. Shout out to the Ville, man. Make sure y'all hit his Cash App. It's right there in the left-hand corner. On my side, it's the right-hand corner. So it's right there on the right-hand corner. Hit that Cash App, man. Donate to that man. That man is a good journalist. You know what I'm saying? I can see him in 10 years. He probably be working for a major organization. That's how good he is. So let's get it, man.
What's going on, man? Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to donate to the channel, the Cash App's at the top right corner of the video. But let's get into it, man, because I wanted to talk about Hidden Hills a little bit more, specifically with Drake and French Montana, and also The Weeknd. Now, this was referenced to me by Thought Crimes, so shout out to Thought Crimes. Big shout out to them over there doing their thing. Y'all make sure you go follow them and support them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button when you go to their page and show them some love, man. Shout out Thought Crimes. Where it appears to be a DJ Khaled song, and the DJ Khaled song features Drake, and it's called Grease. So I checked out the song, I checked out the song just to see what I could find, if there was anything that I could hear. And off the bat, I could tell you right now, the song does feel kind of strange, because the one thing that you notice when you first hear the song is that Drake is trying to sound like The Weeknd. Not only that, but in the second verse, he says, Rolls Royce, baby, in the Hidden Hills, bags full of $100 bills, jogging past your wife, and she gets the chills. Now, the important lyrics, obviously, that me and you could tell, is Drake talking about Hidden Hills. In a Rolls Royce in the Hidden Hills, got a bag full of money, full of $100 bills, jogging past your wife, and she gets the chill. Now, I think this is an interesting line. Now, taking a look at the people that lived in Hidden Hills, it'll paint a picture of who Drake is talking about. You can see, to name a few, you have Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, The Weeknd. Drake lives there, French Montana, Jessica Simpson, right? Obviously, the wife part is going to be for Kanye West. When you look at Grease and when you see him talking about the Hidden Hills,
Yeah, you definitely going to see that he talking about Kanye West. I told y'all, man, a long time ago, the Drake and whoever, let's just say Drake and the writers. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like Drake and the Whispers. Drake and the writers. Let's just say Drake and the writers, right? Drake is very, very, very sneaky, but this one makes me think that Drake don't really have a lot of writers on certain things, because some of this stuff, I don't know if he's actually telling these people these things and giving them intimate details, and then they're just putting it in bars. Maybe that's what he's doing, because that's possible. It's not like it's impossible. But I'll look at it from this point of view. Drake is one of the most, I would say, probably the best hidden code rapper ever. Let's say subliminal messaging rapper ever. Like, he is he does the most, and he can talk to people, and it's so sometimes it seems like it's kind of fascinating to me, because Drake can actually rap, and we would think that he's just rapping, but people who know him knows exactly what he's talking about. He's very good at doing that. He's been doing that for years. He's been doing that. And people call it subliminal, subbing people, subliminal disses and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, man, this guy he's great at doing that. The sneaky leaky rap. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it, sneaky leaky rap. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put that on the shirt. Sneaky leaky rap. Drake is the sneaky leaky rapper. So let's keep it going.
Knowing that his wife is there, lives there, seeing his wife jog, and saying that Kim gets the chills. And they were still married at the time because Kim Kardashian didn't divorce Kanye or start to divorce Kanye until January 5th of 2021. At least that's when it was publicized the following year. Grease was dropped in 2020. So if it was anybody's wife, it would be Kanye West. But it's not just a diss to Kanye West, but musically, through audio, the song itself, if you listen to the song, he sounds like The Weeknd. He sounds like The Weeknd a lot. And don't forget the list of people that live there because remember, French Montana was on that list, and we'll get to that in a second. But we could tell he's probably talking about Kanye and Kim Kardashian. But the song itself, he sounds like The Weeknd. And I started to think, is that on purpose? Was Drake dissing The Weeknd on purpose? Now, this song was released in July 17th, 2020. So The Weeknd sells his Hidden Hills property in June 2020. He can't sell the property for the asking price, so he chops it down to $3 million later on. But the property in Hidden Hills was listed in June 2020. Drake had dropped Grease with DJ Khaled on July 17th, 2020. I think that Drake was dissing The Weeknd because he knew he was moving out of the neighborhood. And the way to diss him was to mock his flow in the song Grease. He's also throwing shade at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West lyrically in the song by talking about the wife that is strolling by while she's jogging or whatever. But
You know, the crazy thing is, I never heard that song. I never heard this song. I'm gonna look it up when we get off of here, but I never looked it up. Never heard of it. I never heard this song. That goes to show you that Drake has a lot of songs that people just never heard. Like, I never heard this. You know what I'm saying? And if it's on the Khaled project, I guess that's probably one of the reasons why. Because I don't really like DJ Khaled like that. So, but, you know, I never heard it. So maybe I'll go listen to it after I get off of here. I want to see what he's talking about. And I mean, it's no surprise that Drake's been copying The Weeknd for a long time. The Weeknd is with, and I know people hate when I say this, but it's the truth. The Weeknd made Drake who he is today. You know what I'm saying? And other things do contribute to it as a contributing factor, but that second album, that's a Weeknd album. People can say whatever they want. That's a Weeknd album. He wrote a good portion of those songs on that album, or he wrote the ones that stood out the most. But definitely is a Weeknd album. And on top of that, there's a lot of songs that The Weeknd actually did for Drake that I seen, and don't get me wrong, I seen and heard that he wrote a lot of songs for Drake that either didn't make the cut or Drake didn't just put them out, and Drake still has them. And on top of that, I believe that the trilogy, some of those songs that he gave Drake wanted more of those songs. Actually, the songs that Drake put on his album, The Weeknd had a whole album that Drake wanted. Drake wanted to take all the songs. So I'm just saying, I'm not surprised that he sounds trying to sound like The Weeknd. I mean, that's why The Weeknd pivoted and went somewhere else, and a lot of these dudes they would never be able to follow that dude now. That dude is out of here.
I think at the same time, he's getting at The Weeknd this way. And then I started to think, I think it is pretty odd how Kanye has been vocal about his beef with Drake, right? He's also been vocal about the situation here, talking about how Drake was a neighbor and how he was coming at his wife. I believe, if anything, Hip Hop DX, I covered it in a story one time.
A protector.
Now, Drake also played up the rumors with certain lyrics that could potentially be tied back to Kim Kardashian as a part of his feud with Kanye West. Many connected the Drake bars on 2018 Sicko Mode to Kanye and Kim, since he was neighbors with the celebrity couple in the California neighborhood of Calabasas. More recently, Drake also sampled Kim talking about her split from Kanye on Search and Rescue, which dropped last month.
So Kanye was vocal about that. Kim Kardashian was vocal about it. She spoke about it on her show as well. Drake had played into it, and he's playing into it now in these lyrics as well, besides Sicko Mode. But what about The Weeknd? Drake makes a song talking about this, but sounding like The Weeknd at the same time. And he does this song, let me remind you, when The Weeknd is already moving out of the neighborhood, which is funny to me because it's like you choose to mock The Weeknd a month after he decides to move. then I started to ponder on the thought of the weekend being neighbors with Drake. Drake was living here at the time, as well as the weekend, and we never heard them beef. They've been beefing for a long time. Drake and the weekend have had a beef, but they're living in the same neighborhood, and nobody's ever heard a story of them arguing. And let me remind you that Hidden Hills has already been talked about in such a strange way by other people. This just adds more suspicion regarding Hidden Hills. Because the beef with Drake and Kendrick is one thing, the beef with Drake and The Weeknd is a whole different thing of itself that doesn't really get talked about as much as it's supposed to. When we talk about Hidden Hills, we talk about the other things like DJ Vlad had talked about, but we don't talk about this portion right here. But somebody who did mention The Weeknd at one point that was close to Drake and his henchmen, people don't know where he's at. And he said this.
You know, all these pussies. Even Drake is scared to get a little Rico today. When I fucking get the Russian government to fucking call the U.S. Embassy and play him all these fucking voice notes that top send me about shooting up the fucking Weeknd's manager's house and holding a security guard. To fucking call the U.S. Embassy and play him all these fucking voice notes that top send me about shooting up the fucking Weeknd's manager's house and holding a security guard.
Because this guy was an associate of Drake's henchmen. You know, the guys that are tapped in with Drake. He was seen with them.
He was talking so damn fast. I don't understand what he was saying, but I guess he was saying like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to run that back a little bit, but we're gonna keep it going.
Seen hanging out.
Even Drake is scared to get a little Rico today. When I fucking get the Russian government to fucking call the U.S. Embassy and play him all these fucking voice notes that top send me about shooting up the fucking Weeknd's manager's house and holding a security guard. To fucking call the U.S. Embassy and play him all these fucking voice notes that top send me about shooting up the fucking Weeknd's manager's house and holding a security guard.
Because this guy was an associate of Drake's henchmen. You know, the guys that are tapped in with Drake. He was seen with them, seen hanging out with them. So when he says stuff like this, it seems like it's coming from a place of knowledge. Like I said previously, allegedly, we keep it alleged, right? But that made me think back to when The Weeknd owned this property. So there's no story about The Weeknd and Drake beefing while they were in this neighborhood living together. But this is what the guy was talking about. Security guard outside Weeknd co-manager's Los Angeles residence, an apartment home invasion. But it shows you that obviously Drake and Weeknd don't like each other, and their beef is very public, and people are aware of it. It's documented on the internet by multiple people and individuals who are close to Drake as well, and his entourage.
Officers around a guard shack, and that is where it is believed that security guard was shot multiple times around 2:30 this morning. 911 receiving many calls from people who said they heard 3 to 4 gunshots, and it's possible the victim was alert and conscious and managed to call 911 himself, telling police that he had just been shot here at the home. The suspects, 3 men, all reportedly armed with guns, wearing hoodies, took off running right after the shooting. Now, the multi-million-dollar home belongs to Amir Ismailian, better known as Cash XO, who together with recording artist The Weeknd founded XO Records and has made quite a name for himself in the music industry, at least.
When I fucking get the Russian government to fucking call the U.S. Embassy and play him all these fucking voice notes that top send me about shooting up the fucking Weeknd's manager's house and holding a security guard. I don't give a fuck.
So I'm assuming that this song just plays another role in this beef involving The Weeknd and Drake. That's all I'm trying to get at. I think this song did diss Kanye and Kim Kardashian or poke at their marriage lyrically. But I think, in my opinion, that this song was also aimed at The Weeknd by mocking his sound. And Drake did this after he left the Hidden Hills property, after he left the neighborhood. And I think that's what probably upset The Weeknd more, allegedly, in my opinion. But you cannot hear this song and tell me that this doesn't sound like The Weeknd. It sounds exactly like The Weeknd, bro. Drake did that on purpose. And he does it right after he moves out. Come on, bro. And this is all alleged, though. But I'm just trying to tell you how severe this beef with The Weeknd and Drake is. What people online are...
Yeah, that's crazy. Definitely crazy. Yeah, it's definitely crazy. That's definitely crazy. I ain't going to sit here and hold y'all. Let's keep it going.
accusing Drake of, The Weeknd's team, their security involved in real life situations. Condolences to that man. Safe to say it's not all sunshine and rainbows here, bro. There's obviously something going on, and I think these tracks add a little bit more context to the situation. But staying on the topic with Hidden Hills, I think when The Weeknd moved out, Drake tried to diss him as well as Kanye, and I don't think it sat right with either team. I think OVO and XO and The Weeknd's camp, I think there's still animosity there. In my opinion, we'll keep it alleged. But it does seem strange to diss The Weeknd when he leaves the neighborhood, when he leaves Hidden Hills. Another lyric that people had pointed out was Can't Take a Joke. Can't Take a Joke was a song that Drake had made back in 2018. Now, let me remind you that Drake still lived at the property all the way until 2022. Richard Fitzenwell is Drake's LLC, aka Dick Fitzenwell, was the name that he went by, the Mark Hotel, all that. Meet the Grabs items were obtained there, all that. And that's when he sold it to Matthew Stafford. He sold it in 2022. So Drake had lived there all the way up until this point where he sold the property to Matt Stafford. So 2018, 2020, Drake is still there. Verse 1, he says, Uber X to Hidden Hills, give me something I can feel. If they come to Hidden Hills, then I know they know the deal. We just right up the road, you could hit it with a stone. I'd be out here on my own, I'd just be trying to set the tone. I've been kicked when I was down, none of that ish matter now. Guys think they run the town, till we run them out of town. And they gotta relocate, gotta dip from where they stay. Everything will be okay. Man, just stay up out my way. Which is interesting knowing that 2 years later, the weekend moves out of the property. But nonetheless, Drake talks about Hidden Hills, says if they come to Hidden Hills, then they already know the deal, as if calling women to this compound that they should already be hip to how they get down, which is why we're going to talk about French Montana. Because before Drake had submitted a cease and desist to French Montana for the song Splash Brothers, which is another song that we had to talk about that we talked about previously, where Drake had mentioned Hidden Hills as well. Before Drake had sent the cease and desist to French Montana for the song, where he had also mentioned Hidden Hills, let me remind you that French Montana also lived in Hidden Hills as well. And in Can't Take a Joke by Drake, he says if they go to the Hidden Hills, then they know the deal. I'm starting to think that the women in Hidden Hills that they call over, I'm wondering if they know the deal because they know the rules that Drake and French Montana follow. Going back as far as
I definitely think that there's something going on fishy when it comes to this. Um, this is some really good journalism by this guy DeVille. I'm telling you, he does a really good job. But I definitely agree with what he's saying. This is definitely something bigger than what we think, and I think that's the reason why the whole cease and desist was implemented, because you gotta think about it. If Drake is out here sending a cease and desist letter to French Montana, who he was doing something with in the Hidden Hills, then what do y'all think? I mean, is really going on behind the scenes? Because if he's telling him he don't want that song to be put out, it has to be something. And on top of that, Drake's been mentioning the Hidden Hills in so many songs. Like this is getting crazy.
2016, Drake and French Montana outline new bro code with 10 Snipe Commandments. 10 Snipe Commandments say, Thou shalt never pillow talk or discuss business with a ting on any import from the United States, Canada, Europe, or any other region. Thou shalt practice a maximum 3-day export rule to avoid frustration. Any import from the United States, Canada, Europe, or any other region? What import are they talking about? A 3-day export rule. Now, this is strange because the first one is talking about a ting, like a woman. So when you talk about imports, and then we go back to Greece, and Drake says, Come with me, fly you out to Greece, full speed. Going back to the Snipe Commandments, it almost feels like he's referring to flying out women, Greece, all that, right? Allegedly, keep it alleged. But when you talk about things at first, tings at first, women at first, and then talk about imports right after, it just seems strange. We'll keep it alleged. But what do you mean by that? We need some clarification. Thou shalt always be honest with his brother about a splash. And like I said, they had made that song Splash Brothers, where Rick Ross had mentioned Hidden Hills, similar to how Vlad TV had mentioned Hidden Hills, because Drake sent the cease and desist for this record called Splash Brothers, where Drake says, Guys know the real secrets left in Hidden Hills. Bought the whole street up and I got it for a steal. Bought the whole thing up, right? Thou shalt only splash unprotected if the ting is a must splash, or you trust the vibe, or you plan to keep the vibe for a minimum of 6 months with 4 interactions within a loaded time period. Like I said, I don't know what import means, but they're talking about ting.
Yeah, they definitely talking about women. Come on, bro. Unprotected. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, that's probably how Adonis got here.
And brothers and splashing. I don't know, bro. Sounds strange. Thou shalt always lie to protect the brother's reputation or chance of a splash conversion in the near or distant future. Now, this is saying that they'll go out their way to lie for each other, to protect each other, get each other's back, especially in the chances to advance with a ting, I guess, whatever the case may be. Thou shalt be allowed to hunt in all jungles unless a trespass has been enforced verbally. And this, I'm gonna be honest, bro, it sounds like they're trying to say that they could flirt or splash any woman unless somebody verbally says that they can't. Thou shalt always provide splash accommodations for a brother within his household. Within his household. So I'm starting to think, is Drake talking about the Hidden Hills? Is he talking about that household that him and French lived at? I don't know. Thou shalt use communication with the brother to avoid being blindsided by other hunters and poachers. I guess like doing two mans or whatever. And this one's important too. Thou shalt never use a hand to hand currency exchange to guarantee a splash unless hunting in exotic locations. Now, this is talking about buying, purchasing a splash. Take that for what you will. But they're saying to only use it in exotic locations, which takes me back to Greece. Come with me, fly you out to Greece, full speed, Cerveler Paris. And then going back to the first rule that it had mentioned at the top, when they're talking about imports and stuff like that, all these rules just seem strange and just seem like if they're referring to a splash and tings, like if they're just objects, like just material objects, it just seems very strange, bro. And this was written in 2016, and French Montana was his neighbor that whole time. And remember what Vlad said about Hidden Hills.
They filed a lawsuit, or like I thought there was gonna be a few of those to take advantage of the moment. And there's been not one person that's accused Drake of anything. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if some shit starts coming out. Well, from what I understand, when Drake first moved to like Hidden Hills, like they were wilding out in that house. And him and his homies were doing some shit that probably got covered up somehow. You know what I'm saying? And now maybe people got paid. And they was partying. Not like. I heard some stories, but I'm not gonna mention them. It was getting it in type shit. I mean, some things could happen. Maybe he's paying them off. Like, I think Drake is just paying them off, and so.
So I'm starting to think, bro.
Did you see how Ack is so, he's such, man, I don't even know what to even say to that dude. Did you see that? Nah, they was partying. They was just partying. Like, nah, dog, no more than partying.
The French Montana, Splash Brothers, I think the Splash Commandments, the Snipe Commandments, whatever they are, I think this has a lot to do with Hidden Hills, Drake, and also French Montana, allegedly. We'll keep it alleged. But there's a reason why Drake has sent a cease and desist for this record. Talking about Hidden Hills, Splash Brothers, we're talking about the commandments that were submitted or posted back in 2016. French Montana living there in the Hidden Hills, the same time that Drake is talking about sharing a location to splash for your brother in the household, all this other stuff that's being posted. It just seems like when Vlad was talking about Hidden Hills, I feel like it was Drake and other artists as well, potentially, allegedly, possibly, maybe French Montana also. We'll keep it alleged, but you can tell me how you feel about that one, bro.
All right. Yeah, this Wi-Fi is so sketchy. Yeah, so look, man. I listen, man. I'm telling you now, it's a lot that's gonna happen. Eventually, it's gonna come out because people gotta understand. All of these people are coming forward and saying certain things, and when people feel desperate, they will do things. Desperate time call for desperate measures, and a lot of these people who were a part of these different hidden hill secrets, they're gonna start to come up. But they say the bodies you bury, eventually they dig themselves out of the grave and come after you, and that's probably what's gonna happen to this guy. So, but thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Y'all have yourself a good one. All right, man. See y'all. Peace. Bye. Go.